Hello, I'm David Briggs. I'm the CEO of the Velux Group, Danish roof window manufacturer, as you know. And I'm here today for 2 days here in Paris. We have the Daylight Symposium, which we're sponsoring and organizing on day 1, and the Healthy Buildings Day, again, which we sponsor and organize on day 2. So I'm very happy to be here. Well, VELUX today is, we're a 77-year-old company. We're still family-owned and foundation-owned, so interesting that 90% of our dividends actually go back to society in the form of grants back to for research and societal good. We're a very strong company. We have a turnover, our group turnover, including other sister companies, is 2.6 billion euros. We're present in 46 countries around the world. We're growing both in our core residential market, where we put daylight and fresh air through the roof of houses, and we've also made acquisitions to grow in the commercial segment. So we actually now increasingly have an offer for buildings such as factories, warehouses, but also airports, offices, shopping centres, and that kind of thing. Many people will know VELUX for our roof windows, which have added space and brought daylight into millions of houses around Europe. But up until now, we really were not very focused on what we call the commercial segment. So rather the places people work, play, and so on. So we've made 3 acquisitions into that area. That gives us a line of products which are capable of bringing daylight into buildings as different as factories. People in factories also need daylight and fresh air and good indoor climate, but even up to airports. So we have a huge project, for example, in one of the biggest airports in China recently, which is using our products to bring all of the daylight into the arena. So I hope and believe that we can take the expertise that we've developed over 75 years in terms of daylight and fresh air through the roof, and we can use that to bring further innovation into the segment of the commercial segment, as I call it. And so we have an innovation function. We split it into what we call front end. So these are people looking at mega trends and how those trends are likely to impact people's need for daylight and fresh air. And of course, then we have a product development team. I can give you an example of something we did recently. We have also 10,000 or 11,000 now with the acquisitions colleagues around the world. And these are people who built up a huge amount of experience, who are speaking to customers every day. We ran an innovation challenge. We asked these people for their ideas about what innovative ideas they might have that we could take forward into new products or new services. In 2 weeks, we had 2,360 ideas from 11,000 people. And I don't just mean a 2-line idea. I mean 5, 10 pages with sketches, with drawings. It's a fantastic fountain of ideas that we've got to deal with. So I can promise you, you're likely to see a lot more innovation from VELUX in the coming years. And I think that digitalization is something that, as an industry, we need to get hold of. I think that, to be fair, architects have had their part in digitalization for some years, but if you look across the entire industry, we are so far behind. We are so far behind. And this is something which I think can speed up building techniques. It can improve maintenance schedules. It can improve the building process dramatically if we can digitalize more and more. So personally, I'm a great believer in BIM, and I really think that can help the building process. In VELUX, we're also digitalizing our product, so that now actually you can install a solar-driven motor into a VELUX window. It installs in 40 minutes, also into older products. Our solar-driven shutters, our solar-driven blinds, and we can connect all of that to a digital hub, which uses sensors to look at the air quality in the house, but also the weather forecast outside, and therefore control your windows automatically without you needing to think about it. And that can significantly improve the indoor climate. So if you take a country like a warm country like Spain, it can dramatically reduce the need for air conditioning, for example, which is good for the planet. You take a colder country like Denmark, it can make sure that the house is ventilated at the appropriate time, so that you have as little heat loss as possible during that process. So digitalization, I think, can play a big role for us, both in the building process, but also in the whole life cycle of the products that we produce. I really believe that If you look at the challenges that we have in terms of buildings, where we're going to have to build and renovate significantly over the coming 30 years if we're to hit our targets in terms of carbon emissions, those challenges that we have, they involve they require the knowledge and the experience and the ideas of people at all different stages. We can't do that, we can't innovate sufficiently alone as a manufacturer. We need to listen to researchers who are doing cutting edge work in terms of how to bring daylight into buildings, the impact of air renewal and so on and so forth. But we need also to work with legislators, because the legislation that they bring to the table impacts what people are allowed to do in buildings. So if we don't work with legislators and we allow the legislation to go down a path of only looking at energy efficiency, it will be a big disaster in our opinion, because nobody builds a building just to be energy efficient. You don't live in a house just to be energy efficient. If you wanted to just be energy efficient, we'd live in caves underground. We would all be sick, we would all hate it, and it's ludicrous. So of course, by bringing together these people who have these different lenses at which they look at the same problem, we hope to inspire everybody across the board. That's super important for us, and I think it's part of our responsibility as a manufacturer who's been here a long time, who's committed to the future of the building industry.